There's an old saying when it comes to projects that you can have them fast, cheap, or good, but you can only pick two. You can't have all three. You can have things fast and cheap, but then they're really not going to be all that good. You can have them cheap and good, but you certainly won't get them fast. Or you can have them fast and good, but they absolutely will not be cheap. Unfortunately, Hollywood is losing on all three fronts. Things are slow, they're expensive, and a lot of people are saying things are kind of bad. There's not really a lot out there that I want to watch. In fact, I'm going to go turn on something from the 90s because that seems to be so much better. And now the industry is caught in a paradox. We have blockbuster budgets skyrocketing higher than they've ever been before at the same time that theater attendance and box office numbers are declining. And yet viewers at home constantly say there's nothing to watch. I have nothing good to put on. And overall, we have a lot of these stories that are relatively bleak and miserable and just not that fun to watch. And ultimately, the art ends up being at odds with what it is promised in that it's supposed to be entertainment. These blockbuster budgets are bigger than they've ever been before, and it's incredibly high risk with actually very low reward when you come to think about it. 400 million, 500 million spent on a movie, and it has to make $1 billion or more just to break even. That is a high bar to set, and very few movies ever surpass that threshold. And when you look at where all this money is spent, a lot of it ends up going towards just paying talent. You know, you got your actors, you got to compensate them well, especially if they're a well-known face or celebrity. But then a lot is also spent on visual effects because these stories are just that complicated. They have, armies of people working on them behind the scenes, and the budgets do add up. But because all that money is being spent on one film and it's so high stakes, almost all of it is ruled by committee or boardroom, where it's a giant group of people, all with their opinion. Definitely leads to a situation of too many cooks in the kitchen. And it's very rare that any one person, any one creative or one artist really has the say at the end of the day of what is good.
That's great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
And how these things ought to be made. So they're spending all this money to put these movies in theaters, but yet when you go to the theater, people are always complaining about how it's noisy, it's smelly, the crowds are irritating, it's distracting. I'd rather just watch the movie at home. And it really decreases the value, especially when you're spending $20 or $30 or $40 on a movie ticket just to watch a 2-hour piece of content. And you're wondering, is this even worth it?
Did I frighten you?
Most people nowadays only want to go to the movies if it's actually worth it. Those big tentpole movies, Dune, Avengers, Spider-Man, the stuff that gets people excited. Everything less than that, I'll just wait for streaming. But then you go to streaming and there's really nothing to watch. There's maybe like 1 or 2 new movies per platform per month. And if you're looking to television to fill the gaps, well, that's not really holding up either, because television seasons now are only 8 episodes or so. They hardly last a month anymore.
You're reproductively interesting.
Wow. Okay.
What gets made doesn't even give any indication of if it's good or not. You might watch the new movie or the new show and it could be absolutely terrible. In fact, a lot of these stories are relatively bleak and miserable. I don't know if it's just me, but a lot of times joy is a rarity nowadays when I'm watching a movie or TV show. Everything has this underlying foundation or undertone of cynicism, where even things that are supposed to be heroic are cut down with sarcasm or irony.
Oh, they fly now! They fly now? They fly now!
And ultimately, it makes it all kind of off-putting. I don't know. It's just hard to recommend. Go check this thing out when it's not that exciting. It's not that fun. It's not a joy to watch. It's just going to make you feel kind of miserable. Why would you ever tell someone to watch that? And I think this is actively weighing down the entire industry, where even if 1 or 2 things pop up here or there that are that relief, that are that kind of refreshing excitement.
Whiskey dick of the claws. It's quite common in Wolverines over 40.
You don't want this.
It doesn't really move the needle because everything else is so bleak and miserable, bland, boring, and dull. But let's say you are the one-off creator, the one single director who's able to fulfill your specific artistic vision. Well, it seems like nowadays, almost out of spite, a lot of these creators, these directors, these producers want to be as off-putting and irritating as possible. I don't know if it's to spite the audience, to spite social media, but they will actively tell stories in the most boring, mundane, bland way possible. Like they don't even care if people are watching. They don't even want them to consume the movie or TV show. They don't care how long they watch or if they even make it to episode 2. They just want to make their story their way. I would use the examples recently of trying to watch the Oscar-nominated Best Picture films, Hamnet and The Secret Agent, and both of these were a chore to watch. I was 30 minutes in wondering, when are we going to get started? When is something going to happen? When is this going to pull me in and get me excited about this world and the story they want to tell? Both of those films ultimately fell flat for me in that case, and I'm sitting there watching them wondering, why is this nominated for Best Picture? Because remember, we're not captive audiences anymore. We're not stuck in a theater for 2 hours. And I think some of these artists, they forget that. They think, oh, I made it, you're gonna watch it. And that's not true. A lot of us are just gonna turn it off or go watch something else. And it leads to a system where there's art without an audience. They're making paintings without buyers. What they're producing, no one wants. Before we get into some of the remedies for this, I do wanna say one of the most fundamental principles I've found over the years is just the question, is it good?
Something's wrong. Something's amiss.
And yes, I know good is subjective, but it's something we all know when we see it, and it is the highest indicator for success. Is it good? And if it's good, people will want to watch it, probably. So Hollywood is in this dilemma. They've got to make good movies and TV shows. They've got to do it fast so that they can meet the demands of modern audiences and their consumption habits, but they've also got to make it cheap because those budgets are not sustainable. It really needs to be all three to fix what is so broken. But it's not impossible. There are ways to do this. The frequency of production needs to increase. Things have slowed to a trickle, and that is exacerbating the problem. We've also got to bring back triumphant storytelling, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about what that means to me. But we also have to make things watchable, told in a way that people want to watch and consume. And we need to focus on the quality of the people behind the scenes, the filmmakers. We need better, more talented creators and artists working on these things to make it all happen. So it's one thing to say increase frequency, but how do you even go about doing that? Well, these streaming platforms, they have the budget, they have the resources, they have the capital, they have enormous amounts of money that they could spend making things, but often they feel like they need to spend all of it on one thing, and that is just the wrong approach, I think. Focusing on the mid to low tier productions is the most valuable. As we're going to get into some case studies here in a little bit, but just to spoil it, the idea is don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread those budgets around, maximize those resources, make more with less, and bring back that weekly concept of a new movie for the week. HBO used to do this fairly well, where every week there'd be a new movie to check out.
Chicken? I'm not a chicken, you're the chicken.
Nowadays, it seems like that's kind of hit or miss, especially across all the streaming platforms. It's very rare that there's usually something new, maybe from time to time, but in general, it's very rare that you're getting something every single week brand new to check out. But we need to bring that back, and this is how we do that. In addition to that, we need to bring back real seasons of television, seasons that are actually seasons, the fall season, the spring season, the summer season. These are seasons. They're called that for a reason, not just 8 episodes, but an entire season of television to fill in all those gaps. We also have to bring back the triumphant storytelling. These stories already exist in books and existing media. You can easily license so many different properties that are already out there, they're already tried and tested, and people love them, and yet they're just sitting on a shelf somewhere. And the reason this is important is because it really puts story first. It's easy to get caught up in what celebrity, what A-list actor is working on a project, or what technology is being used, or look at the spectacle, look at the visual effects. But all of that is secondary to what is the most primary fundamental part of any production is what is the story? Is it a good story? Let's focus on that first. The cheapest part of the puzzle in most cases is often the most overlooked. And these are stories that get fans excited. Genuine hype is built around stories of triumph, where the hero wins. And that's what people want to wear. They want to wear the merch, they want to get the shirt, they want to buy the toys, because it's something they can be excited about. And that actually fuels that word of mouth. It's very easy to recommend a movie or a TV show when it focuses on that triumphant storytelling, when the hero wins at the end and it feels good and you're excited about what you watched. It's so easy to recommend that to other people to watch, especially if it's a story that's told in a watchable form. I don't know why this has been lost over the years, all these best practices that are traditional storytelling elements from way back in the days of just sitting around a campfire, but we've lost so much of this in modern movies and television, where we're just not even caring about keeping people's attention anymore. Even something as simple as opening with a hook.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
Who is this?
Who are you trying to reach?
Yeah, it's a best practice for social media, but it's also just a best practice for telling a story. Why aren't we starting movies and TV shows? Why aren't they starting with a bang? Why aren't they starting with something interesting and exciting to get you engaged, and then along the way, putting in those retention triggers? I know it's all modern day social media terminology, but these are rules and best practices, tale as old as time in a lot of cases, keeping people engaged with your story, having a clear beginning, middle, and end, the hero's journey. There's so much that is a best practice for a reason, is because it works and it's how stories are supposed to be told. And lastly, I just want to say we need to get more filmmakers engaged in making films. Some of the best content creators are doing just that. They're making content. They're working for the algorithm. They're on YouTube, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram. The most talented people aren't even working for Hollywood anymore because the incentive just isn't there for them. They'd rather go work where the platform is monetized immediately and their skills are rewarded right off the bat. AI is making this incredibly easy. You don't need the giant budgets of Hollywood. You don't need the access to the special resources. You can do Hollywood productions from your bedroom with AI nowadays. So Hollywood needs to do something to attract this talent to making what we all love and enjoy, which is movies and television. But if the incentive isn't there, if it's this exclusive club for only the select handful of talented filmmakers and artists, then none of these creators are going to want to play ball. The incentive just isn't there, and they're going to go where the money is. They're going to go to YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok to make content, not movies and TV shows. So if Netflix and Apple and Peacock and HBO and Disney and whoever else can figure out how to incentivize new, talented, young creators to make good content for their platform, they might actually solve the biggest problem of all. Now, let me just highlight a few examples that stood out to me recently. You've got things like Project Hail Mary, which is being praised as a really exceptional film. And yes, the budget is like $150 million to $200 million, quite a large budget, but it kind of proves the point that when you license existing material, a book in the case of Project Hail Mary,
The sun is dying. You are the only scientist who might know what this says.
and you know that the story is going to stand up, maybe it is worth rolling the dice on a budget that high for something that you know is going to be good if it's executed well, and looks like they succeeded. But more interesting than that, I think it's to look at something like A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, another licensed property based on existing material, a book from the late 90s. And here you go, with only $10 million per episode, they're able to deliver something triumphant, enjoyable.
Sometimes I think I buried my courage alongside the old man.
And in every man, there are many men. So be brave.
And that show succeeded because of it. A lot of good positive word of mouth, where I would bet that the second season will have a huge increase in viewership just because the first season did so well. In addition to that, you can look at something like Sinners, which did well with audiences and with the Academy, nominated for many Oscars.
Michael B. Jordan.
And with a $90 million budget, I don't want to say that that's low. Certainly it's not low, but it is lower. And there's a lot that went into Sinners that wasn't even necessary. The cost and visual effects of duplicating the performance of Michael B. Jordan.
Love you, brother. Be careful. I will.
Seems unnecessary, overkill, probably could have saved some money in that regard. There's ways to tell these stories and have the same result and do it for even less money up front. So let's look at my favorite example from the past year, which is Weapons. With only a $38 million budget, which, yes, is not nothing, it's still substantial, but that's very low by Hollywood standards, especially when you're working with A-list actors and you have something that performs as well as Weapons did. It made its money back and more.
This is a true story that happened in my town.
And look at it. It's an original story, so it's not licensed, but the story is good. It's got a relatively low budget, but it's done well. The cinematography, the directing, the acting, the editing is all exceptional, all very good, I would say. And most importantly, it has that triumphant ending, which is very rare in horror. Most horror films people go to see for the gore, for the jump scares, but let's face it, most horror films end on kind of a downer, and the only reason to go see it is for that scare, for the surprise.
I love you so much.
Weapons is the complete opposite. Yes, it's scary, it has jump scares, but the triumphant finale makes it one of the easiest things to recommend because it's actually kind of fun and a joy to watch. Now, it's not a sunshine and rainbows happy ending, but it's a triumphant finale where you walk away from watching Weapons and you say, you really got to go see this. This is really well done. It's really good. It's a horror film, but it's actually a good story with good characters. So if I had to pitch one thing in the world that would fit my mold of what I think could work, it would be the Animorphs, which maybe you know this series or not. It's one of my personal favorites, was a favorite growing up, and it's still a favorite of mine to this day. You've got 54 books that are written like episodes of television, and you've got 4 Chronicles books that are written basically like feature films.
The other night, my whole life changed when my friends and I were given the power to morph. You know, change shapes, become animals.
And 4 more Megamorphs books that are also written kind of like movies. This is the perfect franchise, and it's one of many, one of hundreds, one of thousands probably, just sitting on a shelf waiting to be made, put into production. And with these modern approaches, you could actually make something far better than the short-run Animorphs had on television in the late 90s. Of course, you'd have to update the story and whatnot for modern audiences, but hey, maybe not. Maybe you lean into that 90s aesthetic where not everyone had an iPhone, and maybe that'd be okay. I don't know, but it's just one of those things, one of many, one of thousands, just sitting there waiting to be put into something new, something fresh, being remade in a new format. Animorphs was successful, very successful in its day and time, and it's still successful to this day. People still talk about this franchise as if it's brand new, and yet no TV show, no movie, no nothing. This is one of many of those franchises that could easily be scaled to any of the streaming platforms, any of the Hollywood studios, and I think it'd be a home run right off the bat. It's got that built-in audience already. The story has already proven itself, and hey, let's face it, body horror is having a big comeback these days, so Animorphs would fit right in. But let me know, what are your favorites? Do you have any favorite book or franchise that's just sitting there on the shelf collecting dust and you can't wait for Hollywood to turn it into something new, something fresh? Hopefully they don't ruin it. I don't know what your thoughts are, but let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear them.